Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the recorded line where you get to know people during your regular break. And welcome back for season 2. Today we have a person who sketches out her client's inner thrive. We have the artsy thriver, Samantha Watt. How are you doing, Samantha?
I am doing really well, Matt. What an introduction. Very, very funny.
I'm glad that it was enjoyable. Hopefully the rest of this interview will be equally as enjoyable.
Sure.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So the first one we're going to ask you is how was graduating with a science degree prepared you for being in this role as a performance strategist?
Well, that's kind of a broad term, graduating with a science degree. I have my degree, my associate's degree in applied science for funeral service. So taking out the science portion of it, because I wouldn't really apply that here, learning biology and chemistry hasn't really come in handy here yet. I would say my experience in my counseling classes and psychiatry, sociology, etc., those classes, or psychology, those classes prepared me more for dealing with the public and understanding needs and what people are expecting from you and kind of anticipating needs. And that's a big part of my background as a funeral director, anticipating needs when people aren't really forthcoming with information, don't really want to talk to you sometimes, and being prepared to handle those situations.
Speaking on the funeral part, you said you were a funeral director, correct?
Uh-huh.
So you can say that being a funeral director, it isn't foreign for you for working with clients who have a emotional attachment to their...
Well, sure.
Okay.
I would say being a funeral director, in my past life for 10 years, I was a funeral director before doing this job. And that experience gave me a lot of insight into, on one side of it, what small businesses want, because I was working for a small business. And another side of it is knowing what clients want, and especially highly sensitive clients. So handling escalations and clients that might yell at you or be crying because they have to lay off an employee and they're going through all this on the phone with you. It gives you some insight on how to speak to them and how to relate to them beyond just what we do with search engine marketing. So that's helped a lot.
What are some memories from being a funeral director that you bring to work?
Well, I definitely learned not to take everything personally. So again, dealing with escalations, dealing with clients that are highly sensitive and upset at you, never take it personally. They're not mad at you, they're mad at a situation, and maybe you can help them with that situation. That's how I look at everything, when clients are upset. So definitely bring that. I've always known as being very calm and personable funeral director. I definitely didn't give off that lurch vibe of just being kind of aloof and distant and morbid. So bringing a positive personality, bringing a positive spin to everything, just assuring people that you can help them no matter what, gives comfort. And then if you don't know the answer right then, go find the answer. Just be confident and be prepared to not know the answer, but be able to find it.
What are some principles that make up Samantha Watt as a performance strategist?
Being personable, having fun. I think people here know me for being outgoing and smiley and relatable and fun. And that's really what I bring to it. I like to bring my soft skills as a funeral director and having that history of dealing with sensitive issues and bringing that to my clients that maybe aren't so sensitive. They're just, having a business, a relationship with me, and being prepared to handle those every day. And what else? Just being spunky. I think having a good attitude when you come into the office will beget good attitudes from people around you, and I think that's really important.
So when you're not working with your clients here, you're working with your clients that have Etch-a-Sketches, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Can you talk about the reasons why you decided to work with
Etch-a-Sketch?
Etch-a-Sketch during your off time?
Yeah, so I do two things in my off time. I work with Etch-a-Sketches. I draw on the children's toy, the classic red Etch-a-Sketch, and I sell those to clients. And then I work part-time at a funeral home as an assistant just for fun. I put the fun in funeral, I like to say. And the reason I Etch-a-Sketch is because there's a very few of us that I know of in the world. Like, we're all kind of connected via Facebook now, and we talk and we give each other ideas on what to do and how to market ourselves. But there's so few of us that actually have this talent that we know of to be able to translate drawing on paper or having that kind of aptitude for art onto this very technical, very left brain or right brain thinking of analytical axis, and you're turning two knobs to create. It's a really like weird thing that I do, to take something that's so organic on paper where you can do this and move your hands and erase, and to take that and apply it to something that's so rigid in the way that it's constructed it's not something everyone is interested in, or if they are interested, they give up very quickly, and that makes it a very niche category and very easy to find people that don't know that you can do this and market yourself.
What is some art that you are proud of, or like the one that was most memorable, or like most difficult?
Definitely. So my favorite of all time is an Austin postcard. There's a very famous mural in Austin on a wall with a big postcard of "Welcome to Austin." And I visited Austin once on kind of an artistic retreat because I was just stressed out, and my friend wanted to go down there. And we sat at a coffee shop for several hours a day, she and I, and she would draw and I would Etch-a-Sketch. And I hadn't picked up an Etch-a-Sketch in a few years. And when I did it, I spent about 4 hours over this weekend creating this postcard. And it's one of the most meticulously detailed things I've done. And it's also grand. It's a full-size Etch-a-Sketch, and it came off really, really well. And I was really proud of it, and also kind of revigorated my interest in Etch-a-Sketch and knowing it was something that could be marketable and interesting for consumers.
Aside from being assistant funeral director, from etching out your ideas on an Etch-a-Sketch, you are also the president of the Toastmasters, is that correct?
Yeah, my resume just gets bigger and bigger. I am current president of Golden Triangle Toastmasters. We meet in this building, which is awesome. Come to us. We meet in the conference room by the front desk. And I started in Toastmasters about 3 years ago. After I started working at Dex, I was really shy coming from funeral directing. That was a very small world where you work very intimately with people. And to come to a big corporate headquarters where there's hundreds of people in your view daily, it got overwhelming, and I wasn't very outgoing or very social. So I wanted something that would help me engage, be able to be more outgoing with people on a daily basis. And I saw we have crappy little flyers for Toastmasters around the building that no one even knows that they're there, and I'm going to change that. But I saw it and I was like, what is this? Like, this is good for a resume, this is good for public speaking and leadership. And I joined, and it wasn't anything like I expected it to be. Most people think it's like a speech class, but it's more like a networking group where you kind of exchange ideas and learn how to be leaders. And I really grasped onto this concept and drank their Kool-Aid, and then I became the sergeant at arms, which is responsible for setting up the room and booking the conference room, etc. And that was the first year. And now I was very surprised to hear they nominate me for president this year. And in June I became president at 2018-2019 Toastmasters.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. It was shocking.
So going from shocking back into the daily work grind, working as a performance strategist, you have worked on difficult accounts, correct?
Sure.
So can you describe how you handled one of your difficult accounts and what came of it?
So I'll give you a very topical example. I had an escalated account from another amazing performance strategist to me. And when it comes from someone really good, you're like, what can I do to help this account? And this client is just off the rails, needs a lot of customer service, needs her hand held, and it's almost outrageous how much she needs her hand held. But you just go into it knowing this is my job. I'm here to do this. She is a paying client, and at the end of the day, I need to give her the best customer service I can. So I just have to be really patient with her. Sometimes you just have to sit there and listen to someone, even if they're speaking, maybe you think it's kind of crazy, and just kind of let them vent. Let the person vent, say, look, I am not here to harm you. I don't make any sales incentives off these calls. I don't get paid. I don't get a job here if you're not a paying client. So I'm here to help you. And I just reassure her of that. Like, I'm on your side. I don't get any other incentive for being here helping you other than to do a good job and keep my job. And she kind of receives that sometimes. But I just kind of reiterate that to her every time. And if she has to vent, I'm just patient. I listen to her. And if we solve a problem that day, great. If not, I'll check in the next day and see. And sometimes you just have to go that extra step to hold their hand and be proactive with it instead of reactive.
Going on to maybe more funner topic, what are some lessons that you have learned from working with your Etch-a-Sketch clients that you have brought into working with your digital clients?
Interesting. So I would use the example more so of how to run a small business and bringing in that perspective, not necessarily my clients and working with them directly, but me being a small business owner, if you will, and having clients and needing to meet deadlines, etc. I even use my Thryv to accomplish my Etch-a-Sketch goals, since the company gave us Thryv. And it helps me to relate to my DXYP clients as to how they can better use their Thryvs. I'm a big proponent of the portal in Thryv and sales in Thryv. Really everything that the Thryv does, I can give my DEX clients a first-person perspective or idea of what running a business through Thryv looks like. And maybe I haven't done that myself, but it gives me ideas of how I would want to do it. And if we kind of look at it, and that's the whole idea of them giving us our own Thryv, is to look at it, use it as though we are running a small business ourselves and promote, your soccer team or whatever. And once you get in there and you start experiencing what you would use it for, it helps to make the conversation more fluid with the client and help become more engaging for you and the client.
Working as a performance strategist, you have done different optimizations for different types of accounts. Can you describe the steps that you do when you're looking at an account and how you optimize it from beginning to end?
Yeah, absolutely. I take my example from my supervisor, Shannon Franklin, and first thing she always does when she goes in to optimize an account is to pull up impression share, and what are we losing our impression share to? So I'll always add those columns, save those columns, and review that first, and then see which keywords we're pulling our conversions from and which ads we're getting our conversions from, and kind of do some backward analysis from that. See if we have any room to remove some geography or add some geography. In fact, I just had an account and they are doing really well. We reeled back their geography from like 4 states to just DFW. And now their budget makes a lot more sense for them. And because I reviewed it and because we narrowed it down so much, we were able to get more quality leads for them. And on my last call, they were so impressed that I said, well, since we're in a smaller market now and we've kind of fine-tuned what we need for the account, we could add more money and add expand our geo again. So he was happy. He offered to throw $1,000 at it this month. So I'm really excited to see what that will do for our account. So just going in and looking at the same things over month and month and see if there's any kind of changes or fluctuations. Another thing I'll do is discuss kind of outside the box thinking with the clients. Bring to them, we love to say consultative approach, conversational approach to the account. So instead of just spouting off numbers, I'll say, so I noticed this, and instead of saying it like it's a bad thing, like, oh, this month we had 40 and this month we have 20 calls, what's going on with your business? Bring to them a question, bring to them a conversation, like, I was thinking about your type of business and you're in lemon law. Is there a time of the year where people tend to buy more cars and then maybe you would see less lemon law cases toward that time because they're just getting their cars and then they'll come to you later with those questions? So, and he was happy to engage in that. He's like, yeah, I figured I actually looked up, and most people buy cars in the summer. So I'd say give it about 6 months, and they'll realize that their car is faulty, and they've already talked to the dealer, and by then they're ready for an attorney. So I expect to see the most during the fall, the late winter and early spring months. And I was like, that's fascinating. like you have to think about economics. Don't just think about generic things like weather, but like get into the freakonomics of it all. I love that book if you haven't read it. And think kind of outside the box of why things are happening the way they are. It's not always what it seems. It's not just new competition or what have you. It could be as simple as people just buy cars at this time of the year, and then they don't need a lawyer until they realize it sucks.
All right, that's really cool. That's really like outside the box thinking.
And I think that's so important to think outside the box, because it makes us sound like we don't always have to have the answers, Sometimes it's just enough to have the question to get them to think of the answer for you. But by that time, they still think you're the expert because you brought forth that thought process for them.
Thryv 3.0 came out this year.
Exciting, yes. We all love it.
So with your love, what are some of your favorite things about the new Thryv?
Okay, so I already said my favorite thing about the Thryv is probably the portal. I think it's such a nice tool. And the reason I keep bringing it up on my trainings and bringing it up one-on-one is because it's also pretty hard to explain to the client. So I think it's important to just engage in that conversation about the portal, because it's kind of especially if they don't have their own website or a good website, it's almost like a website in a box. The portal can work as that kind of intermediary website for the clients that allows them to have two-way communication with their clients and customers, and gives our client the opportunity to have some neat features shown that maybe they don't have on their website, like having a video or their Instagram connected right there and have pictures above it. It's just a kind of a cool tool, and it's really neat that comes included in 3.0. Maybe they didn't buy the $99 website add-on and they're not ready to have a website yet, but in the meantime you have this basically business card for the internet that acts as an interactive, placeholder for that. So I love that. I also really love our sales. I think it's underutilized. I think it's another conversation that we don't often have enough with our clients. And it's really neat for those clients that have a credit card runner in the office. They don't have an electronic point of sale when they're out of office. So our service clients, contractors, etc., could really take advantage of that. And lastly, I'm going to give you 3 of my favorite things. Social. I think our social catalog library is so freaking cool now that we have the ability to let our clients pull all these stock images that we've had collected over the years, or pull these tips that our social team has written, over 500,000 tips that the client can just choose from and create their own post plan or one-off posting when they're not sure what to post. But I think it's nice that even though we took the website away or not away, so to speak, but made the website an add-on, made social an add-on, that we kind of gave it back to them in the fact that we gave them a portal and we gave them social postings, tip plans. So I think that was a cool way to handle that.
Yeah, looking at it that way, that has a lot of things within this 3.0.
Yeah.
So with that, what are some opportunities that this Thryv 3.0 can improve on, like going into maybe in the next iterations?
Okay, that's a good question. In the next iterations of Thryv, what could we have? I think I've always, since day one, since it was Dex Hub, wanted more exciting email templates to compete with things like Constant Contact, which is something that we definitely say we compete with for Thryv. And we encourage our clients to get rid of that Constant Contact payment and use Thryv instead. I think a lot of clients will think it's important to have more of a customized template for the emails where they can add their full newsletter and have it look like these other programs will have their emails look like, really big and festive and stuff. And we have the portal action, and we have like some text and a photo option, but they're very templated. And I think that would be a neat adjustment. What else? I'd like to see some changes to the dashboard. I'd like to be able, in Dex Hub and in 2.0, we can move the dashboard widgets around and have it show exactly what we want to show when and where. And now you have the option just to see the templated dashboard or see calendar or inbox, and it drags you straight to those when you log in. I'd like to see more customizability on the dashboard because sales is the first thing that you see, and I'm sure that's why we have it there, is to incentivize them to have something in it. But most clients, it's going to say 000, and that's not as exciting to see when you're logging into your Thryv every time for our clients that aren't using sales, and that's the majority of them. So yeah, some customizability with emails in the dashboard would be an easy thing to change, I think.
All right, I can see that. I haven't seen that much of the customizability in the previous Thryv, but that does sound pretty cool versus just coming into triple zeros.
Yeah, you could put the widgets in different places and see whichever. You could see inbox first or something on the widgets instead of zeros. But that's just an opportunity to engage our clients in that sales conversation.
Speaking of conversations, our next question is for new performance strategists joining the forum. What would be some words that you would have for them joining the forum?
Absolutely. So my favorite thing in the world is soft skills. And having a spunky, good attitude is a big thing in my book. So the first thing I would say is don't expect to have all the answers. A lot of us are freaked out by not knowing what something means on a spreadsheet or how to answer a question when the client asks it. And that's not as important as being able to spin the question or to be confident in not knowing an answer. I think it's incredibly important to come in with a positive, confident attitude to portray that you do have all the answers, but when you don't, to say, oh, well, I don't know that answer right offhand, but let me take that offline, get you an answer, and I'll come back to that later. And clients are fine with that. They're never like, oh my gosh, you don't know the answer to that. What are you doing here? No, they're fine. They're really fine with that. That's an honest answer instead of you saying, and then like being awkward on the phone for 2 minutes while you try to find an answer or ask your neighbor. Just circle back to it, and don't let them know that you don't know something or that if you don't know something, it's a bad thing. Because no one has all the answers to every question that could come up. It's just impossible. And it's a lot of stress to put on yourself to try and know everything.
Yes, ultimate wise words. So on the recorded line, we usually have people who were interviewed before ask questions to the next person. So with our season finale, we had Amanda Hernandez ask a question, and this is her question to you. Where would you like to travel if you had an unlimited budget, and if you could influence that place that you're going to, how would you?
Okay, that's an interesting question, and it's funny because in Toastmasters we ask table topics, and they're impromptu questions that we'll just have someone stand up in the meeting and we'll ask a question just like that, and they have 1 to 2 minutes to respond. So that's a really good learning technique and something that you can come to Toastmasters and learn about, first of all. So enough about promoting my club. The answer to that question would definitely be somewhere beautiful and snowy, maybe Switzerland, the Alps. I would love to just see that type of environment. I've never quite seen any location or land or weather like that, and it's definitely my bucket list location is Switzerland. How would I influence? I don't know. I would probably take back influence from it, because I'm not really someone that tries to like throw my ideas onto someone. I'm more about going somewhere and learning about that culture and bringing it back to my life. So I'm sure there's lots of things I would learn about, in my idealistic version of Switzerland and being out in like giant green fields. I would think about bringing back some simplicity to my life and peacefulness and hopefully a sense of zen for my daily life, because I'm pretty hectic and I'm always going and thinking and anxiety ridden. So to have some kind of sense of peace, maybe I could bring back from that experience.
All right, peace. Yeah, that's always great to have, but always very limited in quantity. Okay, so since you were able to answer that question, now it is your opportunity to ask the next person.
Okay.
So what would be your question for them?
This is going to be a work-related question. but what's something that makes you look forward to coming into the office? And how can we make more of that appeal for other people in the office? Make Dex the best place to come to work.
To confirm, this is what I have so far. What is something that makes you that makes you look forward to coming into work, and how can we, XYP, improve on that appeal so that others can have that coming into the office?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm all about
So-
positivity and good vibes.
Well, with that, good vibes out here concludes the end of the recorded line. Is there
Awesome.
anything else you wanted to say?
No, thank you for interviewing me. It was very fun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Beth.